One of the new features that we've released is a feature that we've largely released now for our corporate customers, but we're going to be launching it for you, the consumer user as well. Now, this is a feature that is really a game changer because in this feature, you don't have to bring your own AWS account. You can use AppSecEngineer's AWS classes and later on some of the other cloud classes as well with our account. So you get a slice of the AppSecEngineer AWS account to be able to run all of the AWS labs. And of course, later on, it's going to be Azure and GCP. When we launch those courses, you'll run all those labs with the AppSecEngineer infrastructure, and you'll not have to bring your own AWS account. So that really helps you not have to deal with costs and overages and things like that, and worrying about whether you have provisioned them or not provisioned them and things like that. If you are one of our corporate customers who is on the AWS included plan, then this is what you need to do. And this is going to be different if you're not on this plan. So if you're on this plan, then there is a slightly different approach than if you're not on this plan. So I'm going to explain this example with the included plan and the non-included plan. So first of all, when you click on access, you will get access to the AppSecEngineer lab environment. Now, this is a familiar site for most of you who are using AppSecEngineer. So once you access the AppSecEngineer lab environment, you're put into this IDE environment that you are all too familiar with. You've seen this. You've used it multiple times. So once you are in this environment, you need to do one more thing in order to get the entire AWS access or the included AWS access that comes with your account. So we have a command that helps you launch a new AWS environment on our AWS infrastructure. So this creates the sandbox environment that is dedicated to you for the length of this particular lab. So as long as this lab is active, this sandbox environment is active. Once the lab is spun down, either when you spin it down or when it automatically spins down after the time limit, the environment is also deleted and the entire account is also deleted. So the whole thing is a sandbox account. So the command you need to run is really simple. All you have to do is run ACCTL init AWS, and that's it. It initializes a sandbox account for you and writes the credentials to all the necessary files that require you to connect to AWS. This is really super simple. So I'll explain how this works. So first of all, you'll see that a new set of credentials were generated and it is written to the home.aws/credentials directory. Again, home.aws/config. These are the standard directories from which you would use to talk to that particular AWS environment. So when you start using AWS CLI, so let's say you want to use S3LS, that's when you will be using the credentials that are stored in the AWS credentials. So you don't need anything. You're already set. You're already good to go. Now, there are some times when you need to access the AWS console on the browser. You might need to access the AWS console on the browser. At the time, you will see that there is a new file here called aws-creds.txt that has been generated for you. So this gives you access to that particular console. So this is the URL for the console, which is an auto-generated URL that's given by AWS. And you have the administrative username and password to access that console. So all you have to do is literally go here and enter the username, which is always AppSecEngineer, and a randomly generated password, of course. And when you enter this, you will get access to the account. So you'll see that through this, we have now got access to our sandbox AWS environment. And this will give you all the access you need for you to run this particular lab. So you'll see that this is the sandbox environment that it's really simple to use. So aside from the fact that you can use the AWS CLI environment right off the bat, as soon as you run init AWS, it'll just give you some status messages. You not only have access to the AWS CLI, you also have access to credentials that give you access to the console on the browser. So if you want to get a view of what you're doing or what kind of resources are deployed, you have access to the console as well. So this makes it real easy for you to access AWS and continue to access AWS as you are working through your AWS lab. So you get both the CLI experience and the console experience on the browser. So that makes it really easy. If you are not on this particular plan, which includes AWS access, you will need to set up AWS the standard way, which is run AWS config. So that's something you need to do. So you need to have your credentials to your AWS account, and you need to do the AWS configure. And that's how you can set up the access key ID, the secret, and so on. And you can start accessing your AWS environment. So this is something that we just wanted to explain before you get started with your AWS labs on AppSecEngineer.